The night was cold and quiet in the alien city of Virella. The streets were empty, shining with blue lights that never went out. Above the city, tall silver towers touched the dark sky, where huge alien ships floated like silent ghosts. But down below, at the edge of the city, there was a place no one cared about. The old trash yard. Broken machines, old robots, metal pieces, and glowing waste covered the ground like a sea of junk. The smell of rust and oil filled the air. In the middle of this trash yard, a young human boy named Eli was searching through the piles. His clothes were torn and his hands were covered in dirt. He was only 16, but his eyes showed he had seen too much for his age. Eli lived in the lower part of the city, where humans worked for aliens, cleaning streets, fixing machines, or doing heavy labor. Humans were not respected here. They were weak, small, and poor, but tonight Eli wasn't working for anyone. Tonight he had a mission of his own. Tomorrow was his mother's birthday and he had nothing to give her. No money. No food, no gift. Only trash around him. He whispered to himself, "Come on, Eli. There must be something here. Something small, something beautiful." He lifted a broken music box, but it made no sound. He found a silver bracelet, but it was too bent to fix. He sighed and kept digging. The cold wind touched his face and he shivered. Then he saw something. A soft blue light shining under a pile of metal parts. It was small, like a glow from a tiny gem. Eli's eyes widened. "What is that?" He pushed away the metal and reached for the light. But before he could touch it, a soft whisper came from behind. "Human?" Eli froze. The voice was small, quiet, but not human. His heart started to race. He slowly turned around. Behind a half-broken robot, a small alien girl was hiding. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes bright like stars, and her hair floated slightly as if the air around her was lighter than normal. She looked frightened but curious. Eli stepped back. Who are you?" he asked in a shaky voice. The girl looked at him and whispered again, "Don't be afraid." Eli blinked. You're an alien. Why are you here?" The girl stepped out from behind the robot. She looked no older than 10. "My name is Lyra," she said softly. "I ran away from the lab." Eli frowned. "The lab? What lab?" Lyra looked around, afraid of being seen. "The place where they keep humans, and other things like me." Eli couldn't believe it. "They keep humans? What do you mean?" "Humans live all over the city." Lyra shook her head. "Not those humans. The ones they test? The ones they study." Her voice trembled. "I escaped because I didn't want them to hurt me anymore." Eli didn't know what to say. He looked at her glowing hands, small, shaking, and covered in strange marks. Before he could ask more, a loud beeping sound echoed through the trash yard. Lyra gasped. "They found me." Red lights flashed in the distance. Search drones. The same kind that patrolled the city and hunted anything that didn't belong. Eli's heart pounded. "We have to hide." He grabbed Lyra's hand and pulled her behind a pile of old machines. The drones flew closer, scanning the trash yard with red lasers. They waited in silence, not moving, not breathing. Lyra whispered, "You shouldn't help me. If they find you with me, they'll take you too." Eli shook his head. "I can't leave you here. You're just a kid." Her glowing eyes looked at him strangely. "You're human," she said quietly. "You're not supposed to care," Eli frowned. "What's that supposed to mean?" Lyra opened her mouth to speak, but the drone light flashed right above them. Eli held his breath. The red beam passed slowly over their heads and then turned away. The drones moved on. Silence returned. Eli exhaled and stood up. "Come on. Let's get out of here before they come back." Lyra hesitated. "You don't even know me." He gave a tired smile. "Yeah, but you said you needed help, right?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, I need your help. And maybe you need mine." Eli tilted his head. "What do you mean?" Lyra looked at the glowing cube she was holding. The same light he had seen earlier. "This cube is connected to you. Only a human can unlock it." Eli stared at it, confused and curious. "Why me?" Lyra's voice dropped to a whisper. "Because you're not just any human." The screen fades to black. The sky over Virella was still dark when Eli and Lyra reached the edge of the trash yard. The red searchlights had vanished into the distance, but Eli's heart was still beating fast. They hid under a broken bridge, where water dripped slowly from above. The air smelled of metal and dust. Eli looked at the little alien girl sitting beside him. Her glowing blue skin gave off a soft light in the shadows. For a long moment they said nothing. Only the sound of wind and water filled the air. Then Eli broke the silence. "You said you escaped from a lab. What were they doing there?" Lyra looked down, her fingers brushing the strange cube she carried. "They study life," she said quietly. "Not just humans. Many species. They test, mix, and change." Eli frowned. "That's horrible. Why would they do that?" Lyra lifted her eyes to him. "Because they want control. They fear humans." Eli gave a confused laugh. "Fear us? Humans are the weakest in the city. We clean their streets." Lyra shook her head slowly. "Not always. Long ago, humans were different. Stronger, smarter. They built things that even the alien masters cannot understand now." Eli leaned closer. "What things?" Lyra opened her palm. The small cube floated above her hand, glowing brighter. "This," she said softly. "This is one of them." The light reflected in Eli's eyes. "What does it do?" "I don't know everything," Lyra said. "But I know it reacts to human touch. Only a true human can awaken it." Eli blinked. "And you think I can?" She nodded. "When you came close in the trash yard, it started to glow again. It's been silent for years." Eli looked nervous. "You mean this thing was waiting for me?" Lyra looked into his eyes, her voice barely a whisper. "It was waiting for someone like you." A cold wind passed through the bridge. Eli rubbed his arms. "What do you want me to do?" Lyra looked around carefully before answering. "There's an old place deep under the city, an ancient human base. They call it the Forgotten Zone. The cube must be taken there. It holds a message, a secret your people left behind." Eli frowned. "If it's so important, why don't you go yourself?" Lyra hesitated. "Because I can't. The base is locked by human blood." "It only opens for your kind." Eli stood up, frustrated. "I don't even know if I believe you. I just wanted a gift for my mom, not to become part of some alien story." Lyra looked up at him with sad eyes. "Maybe the gift you find will be bigger than you think." Eli sighed and rubbed his face. He didn't understand why he felt he could trust her, this small, glowing alien who appeared from nowhere. But something in her voice felt honest. He sat down again. "Okay, let's say I help you. What happens when we find this place?" Lyra took a deep breath. "Then we wake it up. And maybe we save everyone." Before Eli could reply, a loud mechanical whir echoed from above. The ground shook slightly. Lyra's eyes widened. "They're tracking me again." "The drones are not alone this time." Eli peeked from under the bridge and froze. In the distance, 3 hunter machines were walking through the trash yard. Each one was tall as a building, with red eyes scanning the ground like predators. Eli whispered, "We have to move." Lyra nodded. She tucked the cube into her small satchel and grabbed Eli's hand. Her fingers were cold but soft. "Follow me. I know a way." They ran through the shadows, climbing over broken walls and fallen signs. The air was thick with smoke and fear. Behind them, one of the machines spotted movement. A sharp alarm sounded. "Target detected. Human and unknown life form. Capture protocol." Eli's heart raced. "They saw us." "Keep running!" Lyra shouted. Her voice echoed between the metal towers. They jumped over pipes, slid down slopes of scrap metal, and finally squeezed into a narrow tunnel hidden behind an old transport station. The machine stopped outside, their red eyes glowing like demons. Inside the tunnel, darkness surrounded them. Lyra pressed her hand against the wall, and her glow made a faint light. Eli gasped for breath. "What is this place?" Lyra looked down the tunnel. "An old path. It leads to the surface of the city, and beyond. We'll be safe there, for now." Eli leaned back against the cold wall, trying to calm his heartbeat. He looked at her glowing face. "Why are you helping humans?" Lyra hesitated before answering. Her voice was soft, trembling. "Because my mother was human." Eli stared at her, speechless. Lyra looked away, her eyes filled with memories. "They created me in the lab. Half human, half alien. I'm not supposed to exist. But I escaped, because I want to finish what my mother started." Eli's voice broke the silence. "What did she start?" Lyra turned to him and whispered, "The truth about humans, and why the galaxy fears you." The cube began to glow again, pulsing like a heartbeat. Eli watched in awe. "What's happening?" Lyra held the cube close to her chest. It's calling us. The base is waking up. Eli looked down the dark tunnel. Then I guess we follow it. Lyra smiled faintly. Yes, human. Our journey begins now. The camera pulls back. The glowing cube lights their path through the dark, as distant mechanical roars echo behind them. The tunnel stretched for miles under the alien city. The air was thick and every sound echoed like a whisper from ghosts. Eli followed Lyra, their shadows dancing in the dim blue light that came from her glowing skin. He was tired, hungry, and confused. His legs hurt from running, but something deep inside told him to keep going. The strange cube in Lyra's bag pulsed softly, like a beating heart guiding them forward. After hours of walking, the tunnel ended at a heavy steel door. The metal was covered in strange symbols, half human, half alien. Lyra stopped and placed her hand on it. This is it, she said quietly. The entrance to the Forbidden Zone. Eli frowned. Why do they call it that? Because, Lyra whispered, no one who enters ever returns. Eli looked at the door again. That's not very comforting, Lyra smiled weakly. It's the only way to find the truth. The cube in her bag began to hum louder as if it recognized the symbols on the door. Lyra slowly opened the bag and brought it out. The light grew brighter, and when Eli reached out to touch it, the door began to move on its own. Metal groaned. Dust fell from above. The symbols on the door glowed blue, spreading like veins of light until the entire wall shined. Then click! It unlocked. Eli stepped back. Did I just do that? Lyra nodded, eyes wide. Only a human could. The door opened, revealing a vast underground world. Inside the Forbidden Zone, everything was different. Giant machines slept half buried in stone. Walls were covered in human writing. Old English letters, faded but still visible. Project Genesis, one of them read. Eli ran his fingers over the words. This was human work. We built this place. Lyra nodded slowly. Yes, long before the aliens took control. The cube floated from her hand and hovered in the air. A soft voice came from it, metallic but warm. Welcome, human user, identity match 97%. Access granted. Eli jumped back. It talks? Lyra's eyes sparkled. It's alive. Or something like that. The cube projected a glowing map in front of them, tunnels, chambers, and energy lines deep below the city. In the center was a large mark, core chamber. Eli stared at it. That must be where it wants us to go. Before they could move, a low rumble shook the ground. Dust fell from the ceiling. Lyra gasped. They've found the tunnel. The hunters are coming. Eli clenched his fists. We have to move faster. They ran through the old corridor, guided by the cube's light. Strange murals covered the walls. Images of humans standing beside alien figures, sharing knowledge, building together. But later the drawings showed war, fire, chaos, betrayal. Eli slowed down. So, humans and aliens were once friends? Lyra nodded sadly. Yes, until fear destroyed everything. Fear. They feared what humans could become. Her voice echoed in the silence, filled with pain. As they reached a large hall, the cube suddenly stopped and hovered above a stone pedestal. Insert genetic key, the cube said in its metallic tone. Lyra looked at Eli. It means you. He blinked. Me? How? Touch the symbol, she said softly, pointing to a glowing mark on the stone. Eli hesitated, then placed his palm on it. The stone felt cold and then warm, then alive. Light spread from his hand across the walls. Machines woke up after centuries of sleep. The air filled with a deep hum as lights flickered to life. A hologram appeared. A human woman in a white suit, her face calm but serious. To any human who finds this message, she said, you are our last hope. The alien creation was never meant to rule. It was meant to protect, but they turned against us. If you are hearing this, then the world has forgotten what it means to be human. Eli's mouth fell open. This is my mother's language. She used to teach me old human words. The hologram continued. Use the Genesis core to restore balance. Only the key human can awaken it. The image faded. Silence filled the hall again. Eli turned to Lyra. Key human? What does that mean? Lyra's expression softened. It means you're special, Eli. Maybe the last one who can save both our kinds. He shook his head. I'm just a boy. I can't even afford a gift for my mom. Lyra smiled gently. Maybe this is the gift. To bring back hope. Before Eli could respond, the floor trembled again, this time louder. A red light flashed through the corridor. The machines were coming closer. Lyra grabbed his hand. We have to go. They can't find this place active. If they do, they'll destroy it. Eli looked once more at the glowing pedestal. The cube floated back to him, its light dimming as if saving its strength. He whispered, I'll come back for the truth. Lyra nodded. You will, because this is only the beginning. They ran through another passage as the sound of mechanical feet thundered behind them. Sparks fell from the ceiling. The hall they had just left began to collapse. Eli glanced back, and for a moment, he saw the hologram flicker again, whispering something he couldn't hear. He didn't know it yet, but that message would change everything. The tunnels behind Eli and Lyra shook as they ran. The sound of crashing metal echoed like thunder. The alien hunter machines were tearing through the walls, their red lights glowing like fire in the dark. Eli's chest burned as he tried to catch his breath. We can't keep running forever, he shouted. Lyra didn't answer. She was focused on the cube floating beside them, its light flickering wildly. We're almost there, she said. The map showed one last door ahead, the core chamber. Eli glanced back. The machines were closing in fast. I hope this chamber has a big lock. Finally, they reached a round metallic door half covered in dust and vines. Strange human symbols glowed faintly on it. Lyra touched one of them, but nothing happened. It's not reacting, she said, worried. Eli stepped forward and placed his palm on the cold metal. The cube began to hum, and blue light spread across the door like living veins. With a deep rumble, the door slid open, revealing a massive circular room filled with sleeping machines. The walls were lined with glowing tubes and control panels covered in ancient dust. In the center of the room stood a large crystal core, cracked but still shining. Lyra whispered, This is it. The Genesis core. Eli stared in awe. It looks alive. It is, Lyra said softly. It's the heart of everything humans built before the fall. They stepped closer. The cube floated toward the core and released a beam of light into it. The entire room lit up with white and blue colors. Dust lifted off the ground like a soft wind. Then a deep voice filled the chamber, calm, ancient, and powerful. Human presence detected. Scanning genetic code. Match confirmed. Eli froze. What was that? Welcome, human key. I am Coremind, guardian of Project Genesis. Lyra gasped. It's the AI. It's still alive. A holographic figure appeared. Not a person, but a shape made of light, shifting like mist. Its voice was gentle but heavy with knowledge. Humanity once ruled this world. You created life to survive the Dark Age, but your creation feared you. They erased your memory, your history, your name. Eli's eyes widened. You mean the aliens? Yes, the ones you now serve were born from your science. They were made to protect humanity. Instead, they enslaved it. Lyra lowered her head. Then I'm one of them. I'm part of what destroyed your people. Coremind turned its glowing form toward her. No, child. You are proof that life seeks balance. The bond between human and alien is the key to healing the past. Eli looked between them. So what do you want me to do? The AI's voice deepened. The Genesis core still holds power. If you activate it, the truth of humanity will awaken again. But beware. The energy will destroy everything built by the alien order above. It will wipe out their cities, their leaders. Even those who were born innocent. Eli stepped back, shocked. That means Lyra's people. Everyone in Virella. They'll die? Coremind paused. The choice is yours, human key. Awaken the truth, or let the lie live on. The light faded and silence filled the chamber. Eli felt dizzy. You're asking me to choose between my people and hers. Lyra placed a hand on his arm. You can't do it. If you start the core, everything I know will burn. Eli looked at her glowing blue eyes. But if I don't, humans will never be free. She looked down, her voice breaking. Maybe freedom isn't worth another war. A loud metallic roar interrupted them. The hunter machines had broken through the tunnel. Their heavy steps shook the floor. Lyra! Eli shouted. They're here! Lyra's eyes filled with fear. We have to protect the core! The first machine entered the chamber, firing red beams that shattered walls. Eli grabbed a fallen metal rod and swung at a smaller drone, knocking it aside. Lyra used her glowing hands to send a burst of light that blinded another. The cube hovered between them, spinning faster, its light blindingly bright. "Warning," Core Mind said. "System integrity at risk. Activation sequence recommended." Eli looked at the core, and then at Lyra. "If I start it, we might die." Lyra smiled weakly. "Then we die together, human." Eli took a deep breath and ran toward the crystal. The machines fired, but Lyra jumped in front of him, using her body as a shield. The blast hit her side, and she fell. "Lyra!" he screamed, catching her in his arms. Her light was fading. "Do it," she whispered. "End the lie." Eli's tears fell as he placed his hand on the core. The cube floated above his palm, merging with the crystal. Light exploded around them, shaking the chamber. The machine stopped moving. The walls glowed brighter and brighter until everything turned white. In that blinding light, a voice whispered in Eli's mind. Lyra's voice. "Maybe this is how your mother wanted the world to be. Not human, not alien. Just alive." The core pulsed one last time, sending a wave of blue energy through the city above. Towers shook. Skies turned bright. The truth of humanity was no longer buried. As the light faded, Eli held Lyra's hand, whispering, "You saved me first, remember?" Her eyes fluttered open, faint but smiling. "Then we saved each other." The core glowed softly behind them, alive again, but calm. The world above was no longer quiet. Flashes of blue light shot up from underground, spreading across the alien city of Virella like veins of fire. Buildings trembled. Machines paused. The air itself seemed to hum with strange energy. In the center of that storm, deep below, Eli slowly opened his eyes. His vision was blurred, his ears filled with a soft ringing. Everything around him glowed with dim blue light. Broken machines floated in the air as if gravity had forgotten them. The Genesis core pulsed gently, alive but peaceful now. Beside him, Lyra lay on the floor, weak but breathing. The wound on her side had closed, glowing faintly like healed crystal. Eli blinked in disbelief. "Lyra, you're alive." She opened her eyes slowly, smiling. "The core healed me. It protected us." Eli looked at his hands. Blue light ran through his veins like electric lines. He felt strong, stronger than ever before. "What's happening to me?" he whispered. Before Lyra could answer, the core's voice filled the chamber once more. Deep, calm, and powerful. "Human key, the Genesis protocol is incomplete. You have absorbed partial activation energy. You now carry the core's power." Eli stared at the glowing veins in his arms. "Power? What do you mean?" "You are connected to the core's heart. You can command its energy, but the cost of misuse is destruction." Lyra sat up, looking amazed. "Eli, you became part of it." Eli shook his head, scared. "I didn't ask for this." "Destiny is not asked for," the core replied. "It is chosen by action." Before Eli could speak again, an explosion shook the ground above them. The air trembled. Pieces of stone fell from the ceiling. Lyra's face turned pale. "They've found us." The alien guards must have tracked the energy burst. Eli helped her stand. "Then we can't stay here." The core's voice echoed again. "Take the cube, human key. It will guide you. Go to the surface. The truth must reach the world." The cube floated back to Eli's hand, now glowing brighter than ever. He felt its warmth, almost like a heartbeat. His heartbeat. They ran through a side tunnel, the walls shaking as they went. Behind them, metal footsteps and strange alien roars echoed. The hunters were coming again. Lyra led the way through narrow passages filled with old wires and broken signs. "This path leads to the old transport system," she said. "We can escape to the upper city from there." As they moved, the cube projected images in front of them. Flashes of history. Eli saw humans building cities, standing beside alien workers. Then he saw the war, humans fighting machines that looked like Lyra's kind. Explosions, betrayal, fire. He clenched his fists. So this is what really happened. We made them, and they turned on us. Lyra looked away, guilt in her eyes. "Not all of us wanted that, my mother." She believed humans and aliens could live together again. Eli softened. "Then maybe that's what we're meant to finish." Suddenly the tunnel split in two. From one side came the sound of rushing air, the way out. From the other, a faint blue glow called softly like a whisper. Eli looked toward the light. "What is that?" Lyra frowned. "I don't know. It wasn't on the map. Curious, Eli stepped closer. The light grew stronger, forming strange symbols on the wall. His veins glowed in response. The core's voice spoke again, but this time softer, almost secret. Hidden memory unlocked. The wall opened like a door. Inside was a small chamber filled with floating crystals, and in the center, a holographic figure. It was a woman, human, with gentle eyes and a kind smile. Eli's heart stopped. "That's my mother," the hologram spoke. "If you're seeing this, Eli, it means you found the core. I knew you would." Tears filled his eyes. "No, this can't be real. You were born for this," her voice continued. "They took me away to study the core's secret, but I hid the truth inside you. My son, you are the final key. The core's power lives in your blood." Lyra covered her mouth in shock. "Eli, you're the true Genesis link." Eli's hands trembled. His mother's image flickered. "Don't fear your gift, Eli. Use it to bring balance, not revenge. The future is in your heart." The hologram faded. The chamber fell silent again. Eli stood still, lost in emotion. "All this time, I thought I was nobody." Lyra stepped closer, her voice gentle. "You were never nobody. You were the answer." Before he could reply, another explosion shook the ground. The sound of heavy machinery filled the tunnel. Lyra grabbed his arm. "They're here. We have to go now." Eli wiped his eyes, his grief turning into determination. "Then let's finish what my mother started." They ran back toward the exit as the walls crumbled behind them. Eli's veins glowed brighter, lighting the path ahead. Lyra looked at him, amazed. "Eli, your power, it's growing." He nodded, holding the cube tight. "Then it's time I learn how to use it." As they disappeared into the light at the end of the tunnel, the core's voice whispered faintly, "The key has awakened. The final phase begins." Above, the alien city of Virella trembled again, as if something ancient had just taken its first breath in centuries. The night over the alien city of Virella was no longer peaceful. Blue cracks of light spread across the sky like lightning veins. The air buzzed with strange energy, and the towers that once glowed steady now flickered nervously. Something had awakened beneath the surface, something the aliens had tried to bury for centuries. In the old transport tunnel, Eli and Lyra ran toward the upper levels. The cube in Eli's hand glowed brighter than ever, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. Every step he took left a faint trail of blue light behind him. Lyra looked at him, amazed and a little afraid. "Your power. It's growing too fast." Eli clenched his fist, feeling the energy move under his skin like living fire. "I don't know how to stop it. It feels like it's controlling me." "The core warned us," Lyra said softly. "You are connected to it now. The core's energy is alive inside you." Eli slowed down, his breath heavy. "Then if I lose control?" Lyra finished his sentence quietly. "You could destroy everything." They reached a massive metal gate at the end of the tunnel. Beyond it, faint sunlight shone through, the entrance to the upper city, home of the Alien Council. But before they could open it, a deep, echoing voice filled the air. "Going somewhere, human?" Eli froze. Out of the shadows stepped a tall alien figure, silver armor, long black cloak, and eyes glowing red. He was surrounded by armed guards. Lyra's face turned pale. "It's him. The High Commander." The alien leader smiled coldly. "You've caused quite a disturbance. The core's energy is spreading across the city. You've done what no human should ever do." Eli stood firm. "I didn't choose this. The core chose me." The commander walked closer, his boots echoing loudly. "Then the core has made a mistake." He raised his hand. A red spear of energy formed in his palm. But before he could strike, Lyra stepped forward. "Stop."
"He's not your enemy,"
she shouted. The commander's eyes flickered with confusion. "Lyra, you were created to serve us. Why protect this human?" Lyra's voice trembled, but she stood tall. "Because he's not just a human. He's the key, and he's the reason I'm alive." The commander's expression darkened. "You speak like your mother did before she was destroyed. Foolish, weak." Lyra's hands glowed, her anger shining through. "My mother believed we could live in peace. You turned her hope into ashes." Eli's heart pounded. "Wait, your mother?" Lyra looked at him, her eyes wet. "She was taken when I was young. The aliens said she betrayed them. But she wasn't just an alien, Eli. She was half human." Eli's breath caught. "Half human?" The commander laughed cruelly. "Yes, and do you know who created her, boy?" Humans did. The first experiment of unity, a child of two worlds. But your kind rejected her. We saved her. Until she turned against us. Eli clenched his fists. You twisted her dream into war. The commander smirked. Dreams mean nothing. Power is what survives. He pointed his spear toward Eli. The core's energy belongs to me now. Eli felt something rise inside him. Fear mixed with anger, mixed with light. The cube floated out of his hand, spinning rapidly. Blue energy surrounded him like a shield. The commander stepped back, surprised. Impossible. Eli's eyes glowed bright blue. His voice deepened with the core's tone. You cannot control what was never yours. Energy blasted from his hands, throwing the guards into the air. The ground cracked beneath his feet. The commander tried to fight back, but Eli's light was stronger. Ancient, human, alive. Lyra screamed, Eli! Stop, you'll destroy everything. Eli looked around. His power was spreading. Walls melting, metal turning to dust. He fell to his knees, trying to stop the surge. I can't control it. Lyra ran to him, holding his face. Look at me. You're not a weapon. You're human. Remember that. Her voice reached through the storm. Slowly, the energy calmed. Eli's breathing steadied. The commander, weakened, knelt on the floor. You think you've won? You've doomed us all. The core's awakening will destroy both humans and aliens. Eli stood tall, eyes filled with determination. No, it will destroy the lies. The ground shook again, this time stronger. From far above, light began to fall from the sky like rain. Lyra looked up in awe. The core, it's reaching the surface. Eli turned to her. We have to stop it from wiping out the city. Lyra nodded. There's still one way, in the Genesis chamber at the palace. We can use it to stabilize the core. Eli glanced at the fallen commander. If we fail? She held his hand tightly. Then at least we'll fail together. He smiled faintly. Together sounds good. They started running toward the glowing sky, leaving the broken commander behind. As they disappeared into the light, his voice echoed faintly behind them. You can't stop what's already begun. The Genesis will burn the world. Eli didn't look back. The cube floated beside him, shining brighter than ever, as if ready for its final purpose. Above them, the city of Virella began to split open with light, the beginning of something new, or the end of everything. The sky over Virella was burning blue. Rivers of light ran across the city's towers. Alien ships hovered silently above, their engines dead, their systems frozen. The streets were filled with silence, the kind that comes right before something world-changing. At the heart of it all, Eli and Lyra ran through the trembling corridors of the alien palace. The cube floated beside them, glowing brighter with every heartbeat. The core's energy had reached the surface, and if they didn't stop it soon, it would consume everything. Lyra glanced at Eli, breathless but determined. We have only minutes. Once the core's pulse completes, the city will vanish. Eli's eyes glowed faintly blue. Then let's finish this. They burst into the Genesis chamber, a vast hall made of glass and metal. In the center stood a glowing crystal altar, the heart of the alien power system. Energy pulsed through cables in the floor, connecting straight to the core deep underground. Eli looked around. This is where it began. Lyra nodded. And this is where it must end. The cube floated toward the altar. Its light turned golden this time, not blue. Final synchronization available. The core's voice echoed softly. Warning. Activation may lead to fusion of both life forms. Eli frowned. Fusion? What does that mean? Lyra looked down. It means, if we use the core to stabilize the world, it'll need both our lives. One human, one hybrid. The balance of both. He froze.
No, there has to be another way. She smiled sadly.
You always say that. Before Eli could answer, the chamber doors exploded open. The High Commander entered, his armor cracked, eyes blazing red. You think you can save this world? He shouted. You'll only destroy it. He raised his weapon, firing a red beam straight at Eli. Lyra jumped in front, creating a shield of blue energy. The blast hit her hard, throwing her to the ground. Lyra! Eli screamed, running to her. She gasped, clutching her side. You have to finish it, the commander laughed darkly. Finish it? You're ending both species. The core was never meant for balance, and it was meant for domination. Eli stood up, his veins glowing fiercely. That's where you're wrong. He raised his hand, and the cube flew into his grasp. A bright beam of light shot out, surrounding the entire chamber. The commander tried to move, but his armor began to melt under the core's power. "System override complete," the core's voice said. Awaiting dual confirmation, Lyra struggled to stand. "Eli, take my hand." He turned to her, eyes wet. "If I do this, you'll—" She nodded, smiling faintly through the pain. "Maybe this is what I was born for." Eli hesitated. "No, I can't lose you," she whispered softly. "You're not losing me. We're becoming something new." The commander screamed in rage. "No, I won't let this happen." He charged forward, but before he could reach them, Eli and Lyra's joined hands unleashed a blinding wave of blue and gold light. The world froze. For a moment, there was no sound, no movement, only pure light and warmth. Memories flashed before Eli's eyes, his mother smiling, the trash yard, Lyra's laughter, the cube's heartbeat. Then a voice, not the core's, not Lyra's, but both together. Balance achieved. Genesis complete. The light spread across the city, gentle this time, not destructive. The towers stopped trembling. The machines powered down peacefully. The air became still and alive. When the light faded, the commander was gone. Only his broken armor remained. Eli opened his eyes slowly. The cube was gone. The chamber was quiet. He looked around, and then saw her. Lyra was standing a few feet away, her skin glowing softly. No longer blue, no longer human, but something in between. Her eyes shone golden, filled with calm. Eli's heart raced. "Lyra?" She smiled. "Not exactly. I'm part of the core now, and so are you." He touched his chest, and the blue veins were gone. His heart felt light, peaceful. "What happens now?" Lyra looked toward the window, where sunlight was breaking through the storm clouds. "Now, the world begins again." He walked beside her. "Humans and aliens. Together?" She nodded. "No more fear. No more lies. Just life." They stood there, side by side, as dawn broke over the city of Virella. The blue glow faded into gold, painting the sky in warm light. Down below, humans stepped out of their homes, no longer afraid. The alien guards lowered their weapons. The hum of machines became quiet, as if the world was taking its first calm breath in centuries. Eli looked at Lyra. "You did it." She shook her head gently. "We did it, human," he smiled. "I guess this is your birthday gift, Mom. A new world." Lyra reached out her hand. "Come on, let's see what kind of world we just made." Together, they walked out of the chamber, hand in hand, into the golden morning. Behind them, the Genesis altar pulsed once more, a single heartbeat of light, before going silent forever. The core's final whisper echoed softly in the air. The story of humans and aliens has ended, and begun again. Fade to black.